Well, it's that time of the week again. It's a Tuesday. We have more changes to Havoc Demon Hunter on the PTR. And guys, this is why I have been hesitant to give you guys any information on potential builds or anything like that, because I know that these things are going to be happening. We're going to be getting these waves of changes pretty much every week. And if I start giving you builds, it's going to be wrong information. I'm happy I didn't say anything last week because this changes things quite a bit. So we're going to go over the patch notes here. We're going to go through all the notes one by one, and then we'll hop over to the game and I'll show you what the new tree setup looks like, because it definitely changed quite a bit. Things have been shifted. The shape of it looks different. They just keep making better and better changes. Now, before we jump any further, I want to let you guys know about the sponsor of today's video. Are you tired of constantly receiving spam phone calls to the point where you don't even want to answer your phone anymore? Data brokers are making a fortune selling your information to robocallers, spammers, and others who want to learn more about you, like where you live or what you had for breakfast. Aura, the sponsor of today's video, can identify data brokers exposing your info and submit opt-out requests on your behalf, so you don't have to do anything. These brokers are legally required to remove your info if you ask them to, but they make it super hard to do. They make the process so complicated that they hope the majority of people just give up, and they do. So let's let Aura handle it for you. Aura also does so much more to protect you and your family from online threats you can't see. It's really easy to set up, so you don't have to download multiple different apps to get things like parental controls, antivirus, VPN, password management, identity theft insurance, and more. You get everything at one affordable price. Let Aura do the hard work of keeping you safe online so you can focus on other tasks with peace of mind, like not dying in classic hardcore. No! You can either let people continue to exploit and profit off your private information, or you can go to aura.com/Jedith to start your 2-week free trial. That link will also be in the description of this video. That's aura.com/Jedith. All right, let's get to the video. All right, so let's start with the patch notes. We'll read through these quickly, then we'll hop into the game and we'll demonstrate some of this. So, Demon Hunter. Many talents have changed locations and or available connections. New talent, Champion of the Glaive. Throw Glaive has 2 charges and 10-yard increased range. So this has been bunched into a choice node in the class tree. You can get either 2 charges of Throw Glaive and 10-yard increased range, or 2 charges of Throw Glaive and a slow. So you can pick either one. I think that's a good compromise. Increased 10 yards is going to be good. I think more so for Vengeance. It gives them a better tool to pull and get threat as they're going through Mythic Plus. Having that extra 10-yard range is pretty nice. It could also be useful in Mythic Plus 2 for Havoc, because we're just tossing glaives out left and right, and maybe we can hit more enemies. So yeah, kind of a cool change. Here's the big one. I think this is going to be really met with split reactions here. Fodder to the Flame and Unleashed Power have been removed. Unleashed Power, whatever, we don't care about that. Fodder to the Flame being removed though, man, I didn't expect that. There's been a lot of campaigning of people just saying, hey, this spell sucks. It's hard to work around, get rid of it. And I guess they listened. It's gone. So Fodder has had a long life of trouble and trying to make it work. We had it at the start in Shadowlands, where initially what it would do is it would summon a demon and you would kill the demon, and the demon would drop a pool on the ground that you had to then stay inside of the pool to get its effect. That didn't sit well with people, because you don't want to have to be chained in one spot, especially in a raid or Mythic Plus. So then they changed it to the demon drops a demon soul, you pick it up. It's gone through so many iterations since the start of Shadowlands, and it's been so controversial. Having it just spawn on its own in Shadowland or in Dragonflight was kind of okay. Problem with it was that it gave us such a damage power increase when it did spawn, and there was some RNG to it. You could get it on pull, and it would work very well in your favor. Your damage would skyrocket on pull. But then those other pulls, when you didn't get it right away, you would notice it on the meters. So most recently, they tried to tie it to Spectral Sight, right? So you would press Spectral Sight and it would spawn the demon for you. So then it was in your control instead of it being RNG. So you could spawn it once every minute. But that didn't feel good either, because Spectral Sight is just janky and it kind of like changes your target that you have currently. It changes the effect on your screen. It was just weird. And there was like a weird GCD tied to it. So I guess they just decided to ditch it. It's in the bin. So I guess now we have to take Collective Anguish, or you don't have to, but maybe there's another type of build or setup that we can have for the class tree where we don't even go that way. But it might seem like initially that getting rid of Fodder is going to be a big power loss, and it is. But the thing is, now that Fodder isn't a choice, when we were taking Fodder in the most previous PTR builds, it meant we weren't taking Collective Anguish. We were losing that power from Collective because we didn't have it when we took Fodder. So we're gaining that back. And then also just we were essentially in the current state of the PTR. We were so ahead of every other class that we could honestly afford to lose the damage from losing Fodder to the Flame. So it won't be that bad. I think they're going to have to make up for it in other areas, but ultimately I'm not sad to see this go. In the end, it's best for the health of this spec. So see you, Fodder to the Flame. Not going to miss you. Chaos Nova cooldown reduced to 45 seconds was 1 minute, and Fury cost reduced to 25 was 30. So this was the other Chaos Nova talent that was in the class tree that they've now just baked directly into Chaos Nova. Concentrated Sigils no longer increases sigil duration by 2 seconds. Okay. Precise Sigils no longer increases sigil duration by 2 seconds. Sure. Live by the Glaive heal value increased to 4% of max health was 2. So that was another new talent that they just added. Live by the Glaive, this is when you parry an attack or have one of your attacks parried, restore 4% of maximum health and 10 fury. They just added extra healing on top of that. Still not sure if we'd ever take this, but it's definitely a cool thing to have in your arsenal here if it ever becomes something that we need. So now the Havoc specific stuff. Many talents have changed location or been combined into choice nodes, primarily among those in the bottom half of the tree. So Soul Rend has been renamed Soul Scar. Soul Rend is the one that gives all of your throw glaives a dot, I guess you could call it. Did all the extra damage, turns it into chaos damage. Very powerful. I'm glad that they renamed it Soul Scar because we had another talent named Soul Rending, and that was our leech talent in the class tree. We still have it now. So there was some weirdness there, right? They both had the same name, essentially. So I'm glad they renamed it to Soul Scar. Very nice. Initiative's critical strike chance bonus reduced to 10%, was 12%. So this kind of sucks to see, but it's not the end of the world or as bad as it might seem. The thing is, we have so much crit already. We have so much crit, especially if we're gearing for crit, right? Like we're upwards of 50% just from our gear and our whatever other buffs we're putting on, right? Like our runes, our files, etc. So I don't think this is as bad as it might seem. If anything, what it does is it lessens the necessity to take initiative and opens up maybe the possibilities of foregoing initiative, not taking it, and freeing up that point to put somewhere else, which might allow us to do something really cool. Some, different combination. I think this is an okay adjustment. It sucks to see. We all love initiative. We all love doing more crit damage, but hey, what can you do? Fel Barrage now has a max duration of 8 seconds, was uncapped. Fury cost per volley has been reduced to 8, was 15. This is great, amazing. And damage per volley has been reduced by 28.5. So this is actually, it might seem like a nerf, but this is actually a amazing buff. This actually makes Fel Barrage a lot more usable because how it was working before is that you were having to do, if you wanted to extend it more than just a couple seconds here or there, you would have to be doing some crazy stuff with like taking Elysian Decree and, banking soul fragments on the ground and probably just like spamming Demon's Bite instead of using any of your spenders because you couldn't afford to spend any fury. You just had to do whatever you could to gain it and gain it and gain it to keep Fel Barrage going. But the problem with that was because you were not like doing damage, you were just generating. Fel Barrage's damage wasn't enough to then compensate for all of those spenders that you weren't pressing. So now this is, I think, a good in-between where it has a max duration of 8 seconds, so you can do some stuff. Fury cost per volley has been reduced, so it's not going to drain your bar as far. Now you can kind of do things, maybe weave in a couple spenders here or there, and the damage has just been reduced by an amount, which I think is reasonable. So overall, I think this is very good. This makes this talent a lot more usable, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing this in a lot more builds. Okay, now the tier set changes. So this was something I went over in my last video, but I'll go over it one more time. So the 2-piece set bonus has been redesigned. Blade Dance consumes a charge of Throw Glaive to fire at your primary target for 100% damage, and each slash has a 50% chance to throw glaive an enemy for 35% damage. So now anytime you press Blade Dance, it will consume one of your 2 Throw Glaive charges that you have, and it will throw a glaive at your primary target for full damage. And then after that, each slash has a 50% chance to throw glaive an enemy for 35. So Blade Dance has 4 slashes in it. Each one of those has 50% chance to throw glaive. This is really, really good. Essentially what this does is it frees up the amount of times that you have to manually press throw glaive within your rotation because it's just happening automatically when you're pressing your Blade Dances or your death sweeps. So again, this is freeing up GCDs that you can then use on other stuff. You know, more GCDs that you can use to press the multiple immolation aura stacks or charges that you have. More GCDs free to, you know, spam more chaos strikes. More GCDs free to use your Sigil of Flame or whatever. It gives us a little bit of breathing room. So this is really good, and I have tested it a little bit in AoE. The Soul Rend damage is big because of all the throw glaives that are happening. So very excited to see this change. The 4-piece has been updated. Throw glaive reduces the remaining cooldown of the hunt by 2 seconds, and the hunt's damage over time effect lasts 6 seconds longer. So previously this was, Throw glaive was reducing the cooldown of the hunt by 0.4 seconds. Now it's all the way up to 2. So big increase there. And then the hunt's damage over time effect lasts 6 seconds longer instead of, I think it was 4 before. This is going to give us a lot more CDR on the hunt and get to press that button more. So let's hop into the game now and let's look at the tree. So as you can see, things are a little bit different. First and foremost, we'll just look at the capstones on the spec tree. You'll notice that Fell Barrage is over here on the right now, which is very different. It used to be over here. Fire Inside has swapped. It's over on the right, or it's over on the left now. It used to be on the right where Fell Barrage was. And this might seem a little strange because a Fire Inside correlates with Immolation Aura talents, right? But it also correlates with Inertia, because every stack of Immolation Aura you use, that gives you a stack of Unbound Chaos. Spending Unbound Chaos gives you Inertia. So it's actually a solution to be able to take Inertia and a Fire Inside with all the other appropriate talents together. And then Soul Rend has been moved over here. So let's look at some of the choice nodes here. There's definitely more choice nodes on the tree now. Soul Scar, as it's known by its new name, Soul Scar and Relentless Onslaught have been put onto a choice node. And again, if you're thinking about this in the current situation with, you know, the tier set that we're going to be getting, the bonus, the obvious choice is to always take Soul Scar, right? But Relentless Onslaught being here on this node is probably put here for future situations, not just the current tier. It's been put there for the future. If once we ditch this tier set and we're not dependent on Throw glaive, maybe it's something we would take. So I think this was just a future-proofing thing. Right next to it to the left, you'll notice now that Inner Demon and Restless Hunter are now on a choice node. I don't mind this change at all. I think there were very few situations where I actually wanted to take both of these, so I'm fine with this. Inner Demon is just so powerful. I don't know. I kind of prefer Inner Demon all the time, to be honest. So moving to the left, here we have Chaos Theory and Glaive Tempest on a choice node, which is very interesting. So I think what happens here is I don't think Chaos Theory really competes with Glaive Tempest in terms of like value per talent, but I do think it's an option for somebody who's looking to maybe shed another ability that they don't want to press. You can just kind of throw a point into Chaos Theory, and then it's buffing your Chaos Strikes to do more critical strike chance, which also increases their damage, and they always refund Fury. Yeah, there's definitely some interesting choice nodes happening here, and I don't hate them. Okay, and that's it for the spec tree. Let's move over to the class tree. This is back to just Collective Anguish. It used to be a choice node with Collective Anguish and Fodder to the Flame. Fodder is Gonzo. Up here, this is a brand new node, so we have the choice of either Master of the Glaive, which, like I said, 2 charges of Throw glaive and snares all enemies, or 2 charges of Throw glaive and a 10-yard increased range on the glaives. So you can choose whichever one kind of makes more sense to you in your situation there. The other Chaos Nova talent has been baked into the standard Chaos Nova, and now you have the choice to go down to Chaos Fragments if you want, where each enemy stunned by Chaos Nova has a 30% chance to generate a lesser soul fragment. If we go over this way to the right side of the tree, you'll notice now, which is I'm really happy to see this, is if we want to go down the right side of the tree, we're no longer forced into taking Lost in Darkness or the sigil modifying talents. This was always such a weird thing on live where you had to pick one of them to get past it, but like you didn't really want either of them, right? You had a macro to do what either concentrated sigils or precise sigils did, and Lost in Darkness was, I don't know, you just didn't really need it, but you had to spend that point there. But now you could actually go down into Infernal Armor, which previously wasn't that great of a talent, but I think now with the combination of getting multiple Immolation Aura charges, it's actually quite good. So Infernal Armor, Immolation Aura increases your armor by 20% and causes melee attackers to suffer chaos damage. The last part of that is fine. You don't really need to concern yourself with that because hopefully we're not getting hit. We're not getting meleeed by mobs, right? But Immolation Aura increases your armor by 20%. It's pretty big because we can get upwards of like 4 to 5 Immolation Auras, and each of those is giving us 20% armor. So I'll show you this. Look at my armor here, 4.183. We'll use 1 Immolation Aura. It goes up to 5. Okay. Do another one. Goes up to 6. up to 7.2, and we could keep going. That was only with 3 stacks. You can see as we get more stacks of Immolation Aura, our armor goes up. Armor is physical damage reduction, so not necessarily just melee attacks, but also any like spell effect that is physical damage. There are some things that are like that, like a lot of earth type stuff. So it's definitely cool to have that little bit of extra armor to us. Aside from that, that's pretty much it at the moment. I think we are getting closer and closer to being at a point where we can start talking about builds. I would say probably another week or so. We'll see what the next build on the PTR has, how big of a list of changes we get then. If we start to see that list getting smaller and smaller, then I think we can actually start having some conversations about what build we're going to use in AoE, what build we're going to use in like a cleave situation in raid, what's going to be our single target. It's starting to become a little bit more clear, and I think there's definitely some good ideas floating around. One thing that I've heard just in the past little while is that because now that FODDER is gone, we might be able to consider swapping Collective Anguish and taking Elysian Decree with AMN. It's a possibility now, because Elysian Decree is turned into chaos damage with AMN, which makes it do pretty big damage. There are some possibilities now, and I hope you're excited for them, because things are going to be a little bit different going forward now, and that's exciting. There's going to be probably a new opener that's going to depend on like if you have multiple charges of Immolation Aura and how you should spend them. You know, there's some new things, especially if we take Elysian Decree. How do we weave that in? We're weaving Sigil of Flame in a bit more. It's cool. One change that I do want to mention before I let you guys go, that previously, if you took a Fire Inside and you took Inertia, you could not double up or extend your proc of Inertia. It was just a flat, 5-second, 20% damage buff. So if you got like 2 charges of Unbound Chaos and you spent them back to back, nothing would happen. You would just get the 1 proc of Inertia. Now, if we look up at my buffs, so I'll use Immolation Aura, spend Unbound Chaos, we get Inertia. So again, we can extend it now. We're actually able to extend it. So that just, I think, gives us a little bit more headroom in terms of making sure that we get that buff for the majority of our opener. The thing is, if we get extra procs of Immolation Aura, we aren't able to actually extend it past 2 because we don't have enough Fel Rush charges to do that. But what I think is going to be possible is if you're in a raid situation, or maybe even in Mythic Plus, and you're with an Evoker, they can use Time Spiral, which does give you an extra charge of your movement. So you get an extra charge of Fel Rush, and you may be able to get that the second extension, 3rd charge of Inertia. So just something to think about. There might be some weird thing you could do by getting like Dash of Chaos, but I really don't know what you would give up here to get down here to get these points. Again, we don't need to talk about any of this yet. It's still very early, but just an idea, something to think about. If you guys like this video, give it a like. Make sure you sub to the YouTube channel. If you like this shirt, it says "Enjoy Momentum." You can get yourself this shirt, and even if you don't like Momentum, if you're a Momentum hater, get this shirt. Ironically, wear it around. Ironically, the hipsters that get those mustaches and they wear them because they don't actually like think they look good, but they just want to wear it because it's a statement. Perfect. Link for this will be in the description. All right. I'm just gonna stop talking now. Catch you later. Thanks for watching.